Thank you very much, Sri Jairam Ramesh. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you, Deputy Chairman, sir.
15 minutes.
I'm grateful to the
Yeah.
Leader of the House for being present when I speak. Sir, I start with two special requests.
So remember 15 minutes.
I may be permitted to speak from this seat
Yeah.
because of the condition of my hand.
Yeah.
And secondly, sir, you normally are liberal with people who make maiden speeches. Today is my farewell speech. I hope you'll be a little liberal in giving me a little more time because this is my last
That's why I gave you 15 minutes.
Tomorrow is my last day in Parliament. Sir, my speech today is going to be on 3 Gs. It's a 3G speech. The first G will be on GDP. The second will be on GST. And the third G, I'll come to it when I finish with the 2 Gs. So the first G, GDP. So today, nobody believes India's GDP figures. Dr. Swami is shaking his head. I'm sure he agrees with me. And I'll come to Dr. Swami a little later. The Chief Economic Advisor does not believe GDP numbers. The Governor of the Reserve Bank does not believe GDP numbers. The London Economist does not believe our GDP numbers. The Wall Street Journal does not believe our GDP numbers. Investment bankers, research scholars, they all know that our economy is on a growth path. Nobody is denying the fact that we are on a higher growth path than most other countries, including perhaps China. But the numbers that are being put out by the government on GDP are highly suspect. In fact, there is today a wide consensus that the GDP growth is not 7.5% plus, but somewhere between 5.9 to 6.5%. So I'm not going to quibble about whether it's 5.9 or 7.5. We are growing well, we should grow faster. There is no dispute on that. But I think for the first time, the credibility of our GDP numbers has become an international issue. Now, I'm not attributing any malafidis to anybody. It's happened. The way the GDP numbers are being calculated, it has served the government's political purpose very well. And I would earnestly urge the finance minister to pause, to take note of the criticisms that are being made of our GDP numbers and come up with a credible set of estimates, which everybody, including the Governor of the Reserve Bank, including the Chief Economic Advisor, including all top economists of the world and India, and all research scholars agree to. And so I have a suggestion for him. He doesn't have to look anywhere else outside his own family, in his own party. He has an outstanding economist who has written seminal articles on statistical methods in Econometrica in 1962, in the Quarterly Journal of Economics in 1964, and in the American Economic Review of 1965. Yes, sir, I'm referring to Dr. Swami. He can get Dr. Swami to head a commission to review his GDP estimates, and in this process, he may end up saving his job as well.
Is it a left-handed compliment or otherwise?
Sir, as far as GST is concerned, let me reiterate our position, which has been consistent and has been principled. We want GST. We want a GST, a good and simple tax. We bought the legislation in 2010. It was torpedoed by the Standing Committee. It took 2.5 years for the Standing Committee report to be published, to be submitted. It was then subverted by the Chief Minister of Gujarat, who is now emerged as the biggest champion of GST in India and abroad. We have made 3 specific suggestions for improving the GST. The Honorable Finance Minister, I have read his blogs and his Facebook, his response to our suggestions. If these suggestions are met, I'm sure a consensus can emerge on the way forward. So on GST, sir, let me reiterate our position. Our position is an independent dispute settlement mechanism. Number 2, the elimination of the extra 1% tax. And number 3, through the creative use of language in which the Leader of the House is an expert, introduction in the Constitution of an upper cap on the GST rate. And I know the Leader of the Opposition is going to say that the Constitution does not mention any Leader of the House. I'm sorry, I'm used to seeing him as Leader of the Opposition. I have to get soon be Leader of the Opposition again, I'm sure. Article 276, if the Honorable Leader of the House knows Article 276(2), a very specific number of 2,500 rupees as the ceiling on profession tax is mentioned in the Constitution. So it is not true to say that the Constitution does not mention specific numbers, but as I said, through the creative use of language, it is possible to accommodate the Congress party's position that there be an upper cap on the GST rate in the Constitution Amendment Bill so that Indian industry is competitive and the Indian consumer pays a lower tax incidence. That's as far as GST is concerned. So let me now turn to the third G. And the third G, GDP, has 3 letters. The second G, GST, has 3 letters. And the third G also has 3 letters. It's a coincidence. It's gas. And I am not talking of political gas, but of natural gas. So, but before I talk about gas, let me draw the Honorable Finance Minister's attention to an article that appeared on Sunday in one of India's leading newspapers, which I will authenticate and lay on the table of the House, which says the following: a school of thought in the government believes that the proposed GST is undesirable, a top government economist told The Hindu. There is a list of products for which states can go for higher than standard rates. A desirable GST is one that will have uniform rates. The current GST has too many rates. It's not a real GST. So what I want to say is that the real opposition to the GST is not coming from the Congress. The real opposition to the GST is coming from within the BJP, from within sections of the government. And the Congress party is being used as a smokescreen, as an alibi, as an excuse for the failures and the limitations of the current structure of GST. So let me now turn to gas. And why do I bring it up in the context of the Appropriations Bill? Because this gas is a case of misappropriation. And it is only appropriate that I talk about misappropriation in the context of appropriation. What is the story, sir? Today, the country is rightly concerned, the finance minister is concerned, the minister of state is concerned at huge mounting NPAs of banks. 1 lakh crores, 5 lakh crores, different numbers are given. Mr. Malia, and rightly so, the country is exercised over the fact that he is sitting in London when he owes the banks 9,000 crores. There are industrial groups in India which owe banks 20,000 crores, 30,000 crores, 70,000 crores. And I think the Congress party will support any move that the government comes forward for reducing the burden of NPAs and for solving this problem of willful defaulters once and for all. There is no politics in this. We will support any move that the finance minister comes forward with to reduce the incidence of NPAs and to bring willful defaulters to book. However, sir, as the Prime Minister said, there is no selectivity in the fight against terrorism. You cannot have good terrorists and bad terrorists. You cannot have good NPAs and bad NPAs. You cannot be selective in your fight against NPAs. Public sector NPA is as bad as a private sector NPA. If there is a private sector industrialist who has taken 9,000 crores from banks and has not paid it back and is not in a position to pay it back, go after the industrialist and we will support you. But what about a company that takes 20,000 crores from banks, has to pay 1,800 crores per year back to the banks in terms of interest, but its annual income is only 80 crores? Is this a solvent company? Isn't this a company a fit case for being declared a non-performing asset? Sir, in 2005, the Chief Minister of Gujarat went to Mehsana and addressed the women of Mehsana. Unfortunately, Mr. Naqvi is not here. He is very fond of using the phrase, दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी हो जाएगा. पर 2005 में तब के मुख्यमंत्री ने मेहसाना में कहा था महिलाओं को, महिलाओं, आप जब नल खोलोगे पानी नहीं निकलेगा, तेल निकलेगा. तेल का तेल, पानी का पानी हो जाएगा. उन्होंने नहीं कहा था, वो मेरे शब्द हैं, नकवी जी से प्रेरणा लेते कर. In 2005, the Chief Minister of Gujarat announces India's largest gas discovery, 20 trillion cubic feet. ये trillion क्या होता है? 1 lakh is 5 zeros. 1 crore is 7 zeros. 1 trillion is 12 zeros. 20 trillion cubic feet of gas in offshore Krishna Godavari basin. Offshore basin means government of India, not government of any individual state. It's a national resource. The contract for exploration was given by the government of India. From 2005 to 2009, what happens? The reserves in the KG basin, rightly called the Deen Dayal Upadhyay block, is reduced by GSPC from 20 trillion cubic feet to 1 trillion cubic feet. These are not my inventions. These are not my numbers. This is a CAG report presented to the Gujarat Assembly hardly 15 days ago on the last day of the session. No opportunity for discussion. These are numbers, 40-page discussion on this company in the CAG report. Reserves come down from 20 trillion cubic feet to 1 trillion cubic feet. Bank loans go from 0 crore to 19,700 crores. There is a failure of due diligence. Yes, UPA government was in power. Yes, finance minister was a UPA minister. Yes, the petroleum minister was a UPA minister. But the company was GSPC. And when the reserves have declined from 20 trillion to 1 trillion, as the CAG brings out, bank loans merrily increase from 0 to 19,700 crores. Please find out, why did this happen? You are investigating everybody. You are investigating Mr. Malia. Go ahead. You are investigating, hopefully, the Panama paper names. We will support you. But investigate this also. How did 19,700 crores? Mr. Pradhan, you will have your chance. You will have your chance. I am not yielding. I am not yielding. You will have your chance. You will have your chance. 19,700 crores. At a time when GSPC's reserves are cut by GSPC itself, which the CAG brings out from 20 trillion cubic feet to 1 trillion cubic feet. And what does GSPC do? It signs 2 contracts. The first contract it signs with a company called Geo Global. What is Geo Global? Is it a great hydrocarbon exploration company? No. It is a company incorporated in Barbados. Barbados is known for Garfield Sobers and Carlos Braithwaite. But suddenly Barbados has become a great haven for hydrocarbon exploration. A company with 2 employees becomes one of the joint venture partners for GSPC. And it signs another contract. I am not yielding. I am not yielding. I am not yielding. I am not yielding. These are all CAG reports. These are all in the CAG report. Please read the CAG report. Mr. Pradhan, CAG report पढ़िए. CAG report पढ़कर आइए. Sir, let me finish. Let me finish. Sir, let me finish.
I'll give you time. I'll give you time.
Sir, let me finish.
I will give you time.
Sir, let me finish the case.
Yes.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
I'm still on the misappropriation part of the appropriations bill. Let me finish. Not only is there Geo Global from Barbados, but there is another company called Tough Drilling. We know drilling is very tough, but this company is appropriately called Tough Drilling. And what does this Tough Drilling do? For a company that makes banyan and underwear and shirts, it is very tough to drill for oil and gas. That is why it's called Tough Drilling. You're making garments one day, and then you want to do hydrocarbon exploration. You have to be called Tough Drilling, not easy drilling.
Your
You
time,
have
your time.
19,700 crores of bank
Take
money
2 more minutes, that's all.
going to a state PSU at a time when the reserves, according to the CAG, have declined from 20 trillion cubic feet to 1 trillion cubic feet. Where has this money gone? What has this been money used for? And sir, finally,
You only
the
1 more minute.
consequence of all this, day before yesterday,
Only 1 more minute.
day before yesterday, there is an interview that my good friend, the energetic petroleum minister, gives to the Economic Times, saying that ONGC and GSPC बातचीत हो रही है. वो बातचीत, वो 2 कंपनियां हैं, वो बात करते रहेंगे. मैं हस्तक्षेप नहीं करूंगा. But day before yesterday, there is a news item which I will authenticate and place on the table of the House, which says clearly, ONGC may buy 50% in GSPC. 50%. This is a sick company. It has taken 19,700 crores. It has taken 19,700 crores. It has to repay 1,800
Jairam,
crores.
time over.
Its annual income is only 80 crores. And
Yes.
you are asking ONGC
Time
to buy
over.
50% of this company.
Time over. Time over.
Sir, let me end.
Time over.
Sir, let me end.
Time over.
Sir, let me end. Let me end. Let me end by saying there can be no selectivity in our drive against non-performing assets. There can be no selectivity in the misuse of public funds. There can be no selectivity in the diversion of loans that have been taken.
All right.
The Honorable
Time
Finance
over.
Minister
Now,
should
Sri Naresh.
investigate
Over. Time over.
whether all these facts
That's
that have
okay.
been brought to light,
That's okay, Sri
not
Naresh
by me,
Agarwal.
but in the CAG report,
That's okay. Time over.
if they are conclusive, then
Okay.
GSPC deserves to be treated
sit down, sit down.
along with
Sri Naresh
Mr.
Agarwal.
Madia and along with Mr. Adani
that's all.
as a leading
Jairam ji,
MPA
baithiye.
of the country.
Jairam ji,
Sir,
baithiye.
there are
Your
joint
time is over.
ventures. There are joint ventures
No.
between
Your time is over.
GSPC
Sit down.
and the Adani Group,
Jairam ji.
and we all know the
Sit down.
Adani Group and its special
No, don't
relationship
mention all
it
these
has
things.
with the Prime Minister
Okay.
and with this government.
No, please.
So I will end. Ek minute.
Naresh Agarwal.
I
हो
will
गया?
end, sir. I will end.
No, you.
Sir, I will end,
Please,
sir. I will
please.
end. 1 minute.
Please.
Sir, I will end.
Can you start naming and say?
No, all the
Sir, I will
Adani.
end.
Yes.
Sir, I will end.
Name will be expensed.
Sir, I
Sir.
will end by saying
Name will be
that
expensed.
I was forced to adopt this route
No, please.
because
Your
you
time over.
denied me a discussion.
Arey, your time over.
Denied Madhusudan Mistry
No.
and Bhubaneswar
No,
Kalita
Sri
a
Naresh,
short duration
your
discussion.
time is over.
We
No.
were denied a
No, no,
discussion under Rule 168.
No, no, no.
And that is why
No, no,
I
no.
had to use the
No, no, see.
appropriations bill
No, no,
to
no.
discuss a case
No,
of
that is
grave
over.
misappropriation
That is an
of
insinuation on the chair.
19,700
That is an
crores.
insinuation on the chair. You think deliberate? See, no, don't say. The chair has not deliberately about any discussion. That insinuation, you cannot make such insinuation. No, Naresh Agarwal. See, Jairam Ramesh, you cannot make any insinuation against the chair. Chair has not deliberately about any discussion. Don't think say that. Okay, Naresh
माननीय
Agarwal.
सभापति
Yeah, please. 1 second. Yes.
मेरे बड़े भाई माननीय रमेश जी ने मेरे नाम को लिया, थोड़ा मेरे को उसको उत्तर देने का आप अनुमति देंगे?
No, listen. I'll tell you. No.
दादा
Mr. Pradhan,
Sir, मैं
I'll tell you. Mr. Pradhan, as a minister, before the finance minister replies, you can intervene. I'll give you time.
थैंक यू सर.
As a minister, you can do that. Do that. Naresh Agarwal,
insinuation
hey,
on
minister can intervene. No.
माननीय सभापति
Yeah. Arey, buddy. Now, Naresh Agarwal, why do you encroach on his time? No, see. No. Pradhan, I told you I will allow. Then why do you do this? Now listen, all of you. Say don't encroach upon others' time. We have to be stick to the time. Sri Naresh